there's a good chance that we can salvage the I-130 so that you would not need to repay the filing fee for that application or resubmit that application. Hey guys, Puyan Darian here. I'm an immigration attorney in New York, and today I'm going to be talking about Biden's immigration parole-in-place program. Specifically, I'm going to be talking about whether you can apply for this program if you already have a case pending. A lot of people have already asked me, what if I already filed a family petition? Can I still benefit from this program? Or what if I have a 601A waiver pending? Can I still apply for this program? And the answer to both of those questions is yes, as long as you meet the other requirements. You were married on June 17th, 2024, you were in the US for 10 years, you have no significant criminal history, and you entered without a visa, without inspection. If you meet those requirements and you merit a favorable exercise of discretion, which means you're generally a good person, no other major issues like fraud in the United States, then you can probably still apply for this program. But what would happen to your I-130 or I-601A applications? Well, there's a good chance that we can salvage the I-130 so that you would not need to repay the filing fee for that application or resubmit that application. The I-130 is the form that demonstrates that you're in a good faith marriage. So with that petition, we generally like to submit the marriage certificate, proof that your spouse is a US citizen, and evidence that your marriage was entered in good faith. And I've made a lot of videos on what evidence USCIS will consider to determine whether it's a good faith marriage. But what happens to your pending or approved I-601A waiver? Well, a lot of people have these pending because the current processing time and amount of time it takes for this application to get approved or denied or otherwise decided is 46 months. So up to 4 years in many cases. If your case is still pending, you can still apply for Biden's parole-in-place program. And after you've been paroled, you will not need to continue with the 601A process. You can kind of just forget about it. It doesn't even matter if it gets denied in the future. It won't really affect the parole process. Because once you've been paroled, you no longer need the waiver because you're no longer going to be leaving the United States to attend a consular interview. After you've been paroled in place, we would just take your already approved family petition and then apply for permanent residence and employment authorization. So don't worry about a pending 601A waiver. Don't even worry about a pending I-130 petition. We can still use it, and it won't negatively impact this parole-in-place process. What about a situation where you're dealing with the National Visa Center and you're gonna get ready to attend your consular interview soon? Well, it depends how far through the process you've gotten. If you're already really close to the finish line, it might be advisable to just continue with that process. But I personally would always prefer for someone to get paroled even if they have a consular interview scheduled 3 months out from now. Because once you've been paroled in place, we could just apply for permanent residence. And I've seen a lot of things go wrong at the consular interviews even after someone has an approved 601A waiver. Depends on the consulate, depends on the person. But I've seen consulates deny people's re-entry even with a 601A waiver for things as simple as having illegally entered the US with their kids, and then the consulate accuses them of alien smuggling. Like they literally are saying you're a human trafficker because you entered the US with your kids. This was going on a lot at a specific consulate a few years ago. I've also seen people denied entry because they have certain tattoos. And then the consulate says, we believe that tattoo has some sort of gang affiliation, even though it doesn't. So whenever possible, I prefer to avoid dealing with the consulates. But also more practically, when you go to the consulate, you're not exactly sure how long you're going to be outside of the US for. After a 601A waiver is approved, when we go through the consular process, I always like to plan it so that you leave, attend your medical exam, do your consular interview and are back in the US within a month, but it doesn't always work out like that. I've seen situations where the medical exam has dragged on for 3 months. We've had to reschedule. 1 month family separation turns into several months family separation. Super stressful situation. And I've even seen situations where people are denied the immigrant visa and not permitted to re-enter the United States. And then you're in a really tough situation. So I'm not trying to scare anyone who has an approved 601A waiver. Talk to your lawyer about the risks. And if you want to talk to me about it, I would be happy to consult with you to see what your best option is. The last thing I want to mention is that sometimes people have applied for different types of immigration benefits. If you've ever applied for like VAWA or filed an I-360, if you've ever applied for asylum, you need to speak with an immigration attorney before you consider applying for the parole-in-place program, because there might be adverse information in your immigration file that could affect your eligibility for this. And even if you are paroled in place, you might not be eligible for permanent residence depending on what happened in your immigration history. If you're not exactly sure, what I would do is I would apply for a Freedom of Information Act request to get a complete copy of your file. That could take a few weeks or even months. Once we get your complete immigration file, I can then go through everything and tell you what happened, what are the risks of applying, what is the probability of success. So if you're not sure what to do, schedule a consultation and we'll figure it out. All right, guys, that brings us to the end of today's video. If you want to talk to me directly about a specific immigration problem that you're having, I do consultations with people by video, telephone, or in person if you're in the New York area. I do these cases nationwide. You can find out more info in the video description below or go to my website. If you have any specific questions about this video, you can put them in the comments below. If you're more interested in learning about Biden's parole-in-place program, check out some other videos I've made on the topic, or you could always schedule a consultation with me and we can do a one-on-one for an hour and figure out what the best plan is for you and your family. If you're new to my channel, I make videos on a weekly basis based on family-based immigration, citizenship, parole programs, DACA, and other similar family-based immigration cases. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next week for another one.